Sheen could smell blood as he walked the corridors, and he followed the scent to Zion's chamber. He kept his human form with a knife in his hand as he walked quickly, taking extra care to avoid the guards. The ground was covered in blood, but as Sheen scanned the room there was no sign of Zion's blade. Sheen found a hawk walking down the corridor and made eye contact as he hid his blade. "Master Sheen," the hawk said as he gave a nod of respect. Sheen looked the hawk over, wary of him at first, but his body language was calm, and so Sheen sheathed his blade. "Where is Buse?" Sheen demanded. "He took the bodies to the fortress's depths hours ago. I am not sure what happened, but they sent for healers. So maybe he was able to save them." The hawk was fearful, unsure of the future as everyone was, and was grasping at any straws of hope he could find. "Take me to him." "And what about the boys? Where are they?" Sheen asked as he began to follow the hawk down the corridor. "The boys have been confined to their den. There is a moth sitting with them, and the guards are patrolling the fortress both inside and out. Buse instructed us to ensure that no one comes and goes except members of the council." The hawk took Sheen to the room where Buse had taken the bodies. The scene in the room was gruesome, with blood and feather everywhere, and the bodies of Zion, Ozioi, and Oliver laid against the wall. "What happened here? Where is Buse?" Sheen asked the buzzard that had been guarding the door. "He was taken to the healing chamber in dire condition, my lord. He was trying to bring Zion back, but something went horribly wrong. There was a monster. It almost killed Master Buse. Buse had tried to bring him back. Maybe I was wrong about him." Sheen thought to himself. "Sheen." Theos squealed as he ran to him now, and as he came close Sheen stepped through the doorway and slammed the door shut behind him, sparing Theos the gruesome sight. Then he remembered Zion's ability, and looked away as the young fox looked up at him with watery eyes. "Theos, you should not be here. Go back to your den with your brother." "Sheen, Mom, Dad, Oliver killed them," Theos shouted angrily, choking back tears. Fear washed over Sheen now as the realization came to him that not only did Theos have the ability to read him, he also had the beast in him. "Theos, I am sorry," Sheen began as he knelt down and wrapped Theos in a hug. "Theos, I am here to protect you, but to do that I need your father's sword." Theos looked into the old wolf's eyes, trying to read him, and as much as he tried to hide it, Theos could see his fear. Theos shook his head, and Sheen gave a low sigh. "Sheen, Matera is in trouble." Sheen looked up and met Bylus with a nod of disapproval, trying to keep him from speaking in front of Theos, but it did not matter. Theos locked eyes with him and read him. "There is an army of griffins crossing the canyon," Theos exclaimed. He could see what Bylus had seen and why he had not stopped. There was a wall of smoke pouring over the canyon as Matera and her army advanced with Teti's forces not far behind. But she could not see what Bylus could see. There was a darker cloud, and its approach had been hidden by the smoke, the apex of feather. So Bylus had turned and flew as fast as he could to the fortress in the south. With Zion gone and the sword missing, could anyone stand against an apex? Maybe they are just going to Pius. The buzzard stammered. Haven settled their disputes with Pius hundreds of years ago. If they are crossing the canyon, they are coming for us. Sheen replied as he shook his head. Bylus, gather our hunters. We have to go. Sheen commanded, but Theos cut him off. No, I will go, Theos said with a low growl as a fresh set of tears rolled down his cheeks. Theos, you are not going anywhere. Sheen growled back. Go back to your den. Sheen blinked and started to turn back to Bylus when he felt a trembling prick at his neck. He looked down to see Theos holding Sententia's sword at his throat. Boy, what are you doing? Sheen asked, his voice shaking like the boy's hands struggling under the weight of the sword. Don't, Theos commanded as he read the temptation in Sheen's eyes to try and wrestle the sword away from him. My father and brother are dead. That means I am the rightful king, and the desert is my responsibility. I will confront them. Now are you with me or not? The corridor stood as silent as the old wolf and the young fox staring each other down. Bylis looked to Sheen for some signal of what he should do. If he did make a move and tried to take the sword from Theos, there was no guarantee the boy would not simply give in to the beast, so Sheen conceded defeat. Very well then, Theos. Let's go. We cannot afford to keep Matera waiting. Theos' hand stopped shaking, and he clumsily sheathed his father's sword at his side. Well, Lars. I will admit I am a little disappointed that you did not wait for me. But I must say you have done a fine job so far. Teddy balked as he jumped on the back of a spider that was coming for Matera, and plunged a dagger into its neck as Matera pierced it with her tail. The spider turned to shadows that scattered, and Teddy fell as Matera threw off the real spider she had been fighting, and jerked her tail away to make sure Teddy did not land on her stinger. Be careful, Teddy. A majority of the spider's forces have been nothing more than shadows. They had web traps hidden along the ground, and I set them on fire so we could advance. But it looks like they had planned for that. The spiders are cunning. You should have waited for the rest of us. Teddy's forces had come barreling over the dunes and onto the rocky terrain of the canyon. They disappeared into the smoke of battle, crushing large numbers of spiders as they went. But as Matera said, most of them were mere shadows cast by spiders using the shadow of the smoke. Matera had thought attacking with the sun at her back would be to her advantage, but the spiders had quickly managed to turn it into a hindrance. Teddy looked Matera up and down. She was covered in cuts and webs. And though she was immune to the venom-coated blades of the spiders, she was exhausted from the battle. Go to the rear and rest, Lars. Let the moths help you. I will take it from here. You wish. Matera replied with a grin. I will save you some of the fun, Lars. I promise. Now is not the time for that scorpion pride. Teddy replied with a grin of his own. No, that witch is mine. Matera declared as she and Teddy hacked and slashed their way forward into the smoke. Besides Teddy, something is wrong. Where are all the spiders? The real spiders? I expected to be overwhelmed, but like I said, most of them have been mere shadows. The traps mean they were expecting us. I do not know what is going on, but with the lack of physical spiders and the ease of our advance, it makes me feel uneasy. They are cowards. Not one Aranim among them. Teddy bellowed as a spider came from behind on his right side and thrust a dagger deep into his shoulder, sinking its fangs into his neck. Damn it. Teddy yelled as he rolled forward, reaching around with his free hand and planting a dagger of his own in the spider's skull. As they rolled, the spider turned to shadow and scattered. Teddy. Matera rushed to him as the real spider came from out of the haze and went after her. It reached out with a dagger in each hand, hoping to pierce Matera's shoulders, but she let it get close and planted her stinger in its spine, stopping it just out of reach. The spider started flailing and cursing, trying to slash at Matera's tail, but Matera pulled it close, stabbing it in its arms, and caused it to drop the daggers as she wrapped her fingers around its throat and began to squeeze until the spider's head burst into flame. Matera turned back to Teddy, fearing the worst. You are not the only one immune to venom, Lars. Teddy was putting on a front. Even though he was not likely to die from the venom, it felt as if fire was running through his veins from the tip of his right hand all the way across his face. As a seasoned hunter, he knew better than to remove the dagger, but he could not use his right arm with it in. Looks like you are the one who needs a break, Matera said with a smile. You wish. Teddy barked back. Before the two could continue to press their advance, they were blown back by a powerful gust from the front.